He said, your dad's been preaching to me and telling me to quit doing the things that I'm doing and do what God wants me to do. He said, but I never listened to your dad. He said, I kept doing what I wanted to do. So he said, I went to prison. He said, I got out of prison. I started working for your dad again. He said, then your dad warned me again to quit doing the things that I'm doing and do what God told me to do. Now, I thought I had a testimony. I thought I'd been through some things. Literally, I thought I'd been through it all. But I ain't been through nothing. I just realized a lot faster than others. I realized when God speaks, you do it. Don't play with God.
Amen.
When God tells you to do something, you do it. Because if you don't, you bring punishment upon yourself. And not only do you bring punishment upon yourself, you bring punishment upon your family too. And that's the scary thing. You need to fear God. And he said, I didn't listen to your dad again. I kept doing what I wanted to do. I ended up in prison again. Then I got out the second time and I went back to work for your dad once again. And he warned me the third time. And he said, I just got even worse. And I was right there riding the same boat with him. At this point, I was old enough. The first two times my dad warned him, I was young. The third time my dad warned him, I was right there riding the same boat he was riding. Right along with him. Not listening to my father. Not doing what my father told me to do, and you see where that led me. All of y'all know the road I've been on. The road I came from. But him, he got the worst end of the deal because he didn't want to listen. He kept getting told, and kept getting told, and kept getting told. And he didn't want to listen. I was at his house 3 days before they got him the third time, helping him fix his four-wheeler. And he told me, he said, they're going to come get me. He said, I know they're on their way to get me. He just got busted a couple months before and didn't show up to his court date. He said, they're on their way to get me. He said, but I'm not going back to prison. He said, I'm going to go out shooting. They're going to have to kill me. They came to get him. He did exactly what he said. I didn't try to stop him. I didn't try to say, don't do that, that's dumb. Anything like that. I kept my mouth shut because I was living in the world. I wasn't doing what God wanted me to do. So I was like, well, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. He did it. He said he got shot the first time, he got shot 5 times when the cops came to get him because he pulled a gun on him and shot at him. Shot him the first time in his elbow. He said, ow! Then they shot him in his side. And he said after that second shot, he don't remember what happened. He said all he remembered what happened is it hurt. And he said he was ready to die. That's why he chose that path. And he said as he was laying on the ground, they shot him 3 more times. As he was laying on the ground, he blanked out. And he woke back up. And he seen his gun laying in front of him. And he went to reach for that gun, but he said he couldn't move. He was paralyzed. And he said he blinked back out and he came back to. He blinked back out and he came back to. And he said, I prayed to God. I said, God, please don't take my life. I'm really not ready to go yet. I'll do what you want me to do. He said he blinked back out and he woke up in the hospital. Laying there. Crippled. Because he didn't do what God wanted him to do. So he started reading his Bible. He started praying to God. He said, I know God's real because I should have died that day. He said, I know what your dad told me was the truth. And I was stubborn because I didn't listen to him. He said, I should have listened a long time ago and I wouldn't be in this position. I should have listened and obeyed what I was told. He said, but I didn't. He said, once I was happy that God kept me alive, he said, but the more I laid there, I got even more discouraged because I would tell the nurse I wanted to take a shower. He said, because I like taking a shower 2 or 3 times a day, 4 times a day to be clean. And he said, they wouldn't let me take a shower, and I kept arguing with them and arguing with them and arguing with them. And they said, no, all we can do is give you a bath because you can't walk. He said, no, I want to take a shower. And the nurse told him, if you can move your feet, then I'll allow you to take a shower. The neurologist came in and told him, you're never going to be able to walk again. You're going to be crippled for the rest of your life. And he said he wasn't going to accept that. He said he started praying. He told God, please allow me to walk again. Please let me walk again, God. He said it didn't happen automatically. He said, but I started feeling my feet again. He said, then I got in a wheelchair. Then I ended up in a walker. Then now I'm on a cane. He said, I'm thankful to be able to walk again. He said, I had to wear a diaper still because I couldn't control my bowel movements. And he said, once I got on my feet and I could walk, he said, then I started praying, God, please allow me to control my bowel movements. He said, then he started to be, as time went by, he started being able to control when he did number 2. He said, and I'm still praying, trying to be able to control my bladder because it spazzes out sometimes. He said, but I'm getting there. God's helping me through this. And it broke me down. It made me start crying because I thought I had it bad. And if I wouldn't have listened and done what God told me to do, I might have had it that bad or worse. But I realized sooner I had enough of suffering. I had enough of making my family suffer. I didn't want to live that life no more. Some of us don't ever realize that, and some of us don't take warning to when that we get told something. We want to be hard-headed. We want to do what we want to do. And that's a scary thing. And then he made me happy. It made my day when he told me, he said, at the end of the visit, which we were only supposed to have a 2-hour visit, okay, in the prison. And he's in one of the worst prisons you can go to. Killers, rapists, murderers, anything you can think of is in that prison. And he said, I know God's working. He said, because I wasn't supposed to even come up for parole for 30 years. He said, and I get to come up for parole in 2022 for my first time to come up for parole. He said, that shouldn't happen. He said, but it is. God's working. I said, yeah, once you realize and you start doing what God tells you to do, my God's a powerful God. Amen. My God can snap his finger and they can walk into your ear and say, you have been released. Yes. So that's how powerful my God is. That's how powerful Jesus is. Yes. And he told me, he said, I just want you to know that I love you and I'm proud of you. Made me start crying. I hear that from my dad all the time, but it's different when you hear it from someone else. It made me know that he cares about me. He said, nobody else is like you. He said, you help me out. Everybody else will turn their back on me. You help put money on my books. You come and see me. He said, my own family don't even do that. And it's sad. Because we all turn our backs on each other when we don't need someone anymore. So that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to love. You're supposed to help each other. We got to get through this together as a family. Because if we don't have each other, then we'll never get nowhere. Amen. It's a struggle. It's a fight. The devil comes in. The devil tries to attack us. We have to stay strong and help each other through this. We got to start doing what we're supposed to be doing. You know what it is. I don't have to tell you. I'm just glad that I listened and I didn't have to end up like him, because I couldn't imagine getting shot and having to learn how to do everything all over again like a little child. Being a grown man, having to have people wipe your butt, change your diaper, take you a bath, that'll make a person feel worthless. But I listen before that happens. I'm going to do what God tells me to do.
Amen.
And I just want all of you to know that I love you. I'm thankful to have each and every one of you in my life.
Amen.
And don't give up. Keep moving forward. Every day you wake up, strive to be a better person.
Amen.
Because none of us are perfect. We just have to try to be better than tomorrow than we were today. And the next day better than we were that day. Until we reach that point where God says, well, until God's pleased. And as long as you're trying to be the better person, God's going to be pleased. As long as you keep seeking Him and only Him, God's going to be pleased. As long as you obey God and do what God tells you to do, He will be pleased. That's all I got to say. I love y'all. And I'm grateful that y'all are here and in my life. And grateful that I know all of y'all have changed. Y'all are not the same person that y'all were when I was the person I was. We've all changed.
Amen.
A little more. And all I want to say is keep trying to be a better person. Keep every day, realize what you made, your mistakes that you made the day before, and change it. Don't do the same thing the next day.
Amen.
Love y'all. If anybody has any special prayers, or if anybody here